My workplace isn't a private home. It's a big house of rich family. I was working 24/7 without any day off or breaks during the day. Even drinking water in the middle of the day was not allowed. I was not properly fed and not properly compensated because little mistakes in my work were deducted from my salary, and at times I was beaten. There were months in which I did not get paid. I escaped, leaving behind the terror of abuse. I was once a wandering soul with no home to live. My identity was broken at risk of deportation. The dark night was terrifying. I was scared. The images of my children shone like a diamond. They gave me hope to survive. I rise for my children. I rise as a worker. I rise as a woman, for I am not a slave.
I worked as a nanny housekeeper. They were shouted me and called me a trust. Trust became my name. I was not locked in cage, and my hands were not shackled. But my story is no different from that of slavery in the Victorian times, as it's renamed today, modern day slavery. I was escaped and was saved, but escaping was not at all. I was suffered in the hands of many abusive employer. This was not only because of bad employer, but because there was nothing here in UK who could immediately protect me. The law itself denied me the right to renew my 6 months overseas domestic worker visa, making it difficult for me to find a new job before my visa expired. Who will employ me if I will be undocumented? The law has made it difficult for migrant domestic workers, tying us to a 6 months visa system and doesn't allow us to renew our visas. Because of this, many of us become undocumented, which pushes us more in severe abuse and exploitation. I also hope people support the campaign of the Voice of Domestic Workers to reinstate the rights of migrant domestic workers. And these rights are the right to change employer, the right to renew visa, right to settlement, and right for British citizenship. Like many other workers, domestic workers are essential workers too. We are the carers for the children, elderly, disabled, and do general household chores. We look after the families that make up our society. Without domestic workers, how could everybody go to work? I rise and stand with my fellow migrant domestic workers. As important workforce, we deserve to be treated with respect and dignity as workers and human beings.
We have an invisible enemy, the COVID-19. This pandemic locked me down in this private home, where I work 24 hours a day with no day off. My employer threatened me, telling me if I left the house, do not come back. I had no choice but to stay in my employer's household, or else I'll be jobless and homeless. To continue supporting my family, I am working 105 hours a week, including during my day off, for 3.80 pounds per hour. I recently received a negative conclusive decision in my trafficking case. I am scared. If I overstay, I will be arrested, deported back home, and prepared financially, unstable emotionally and mentally. Fellow domestic workers in my situation have become undocumented. We have tried to be lawful, but there is a fire wherever we step. Where are this prevention, protection, and prosecution of the Modern Slavery Act? Why am I at risk of prosecution not the employer who abused me. I rise for justice, for UK law to be just for domestic workers. We have fought for so long.
I'm on the run as fast, as far I could go. Slap on my face, punch on my body. The hunger I endure each day, I could take no more. I run in the wilderness of city of London, where the street lights are like flashcard of horror. Fear that follow me deep in the darkness. I found a big tree in the middle of the big garden. This tree becomes my house. I sleep soundly under its shade. It was calm in the city, but darkness covered me upon wide, exposed to harmful beast who eats my body and soul. I rise against exploitation and sexual violence of women. I rise for our safety in the homes, streets, and parks.
I am the living evidence that slavery could end. I managed to rebuild my life because I have the rights after fleeing from an abusive employment. Domestic work is hard work, but decent. Through this work, I was able to provide a living, an education for my children. Every successful person has a painful story, but every painful story will find its successful ending. And I hope the same for my fellow domestic workers. And I rise to end today's slavery of migrant domestic workers. And I rise for domestic workers to be treated with dignity and rights.